Hello friends, in today's class we will learn about the important amendments in the Constitution. First Amendment Act 1951. The state was given the authority to create a specific arrangements for the progress of the socially and economically disadvantaged classes. Added ninth schedule to protect the land reform and other laws included in it from the judicial review. Added three more restrictions on the freedom of speech and expression with public order, friendly relations with the foreign states and incitement to an offence. Also made the restrictions reasonable and thus justiciable in nature. Provided for straight trading and nationalization. Seventh Amendment Act. The 7th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1956 promoted the appointment of the same person as a governor for two or more states. It has provided for the establishment of a common high court for two or more states. 24th Amendment Act 1971. The purpose of this amendment was to overrule the Supreme Court's ruling in IC Golaknath versus State of Punjab, which stated that the Parliament could not restrict the fundamental rights in any way. Article 13 and 368 of the Constitution were amended by the 24th Amendment, allowing Parliament to freely amend the fundamental rights. 25th Amendment Act 1971. Introduction of a new Article 31C. The Amendment Act aims to overcome the obstacles that stand in the way of putting the directive principles of state policy into action. The Act limited the fundamental right to property. 42nd Amendment Act 1976. It is also known as Mini Constitution. The topic 42nd Amendment Act, also called the Constitution Act 1976, attempted to reduce the powers of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, laid down fundamental duties for the citizens. Terms socialist, secular and integrated were added to the preamble. Three new DPSPs were added to the existing list of DPSPs and one was amended. 44th Amendment Act 1978. The 44th Amendment Act of 1978 reversed the provision made by the 42nd Amendment Act that allowed the government to amend the Constitution on its wish by the Article 368. 44th Amendment Act nullified this unjustified power to the government. Right to property was removed from the list of fundamental rights and was made a legal right under Article 300A. Internal disturbance not amounting to armed rebellion would not be a ground for the issue of the proclamation. 52nd Amendment Act 1985. The 10th schedule was added in the Indian Constitution. It provided for the disqualification of the members of the Parliament and the state legislatures on the ground of defection. 61st Amendment Act 1989 reduced the voting age from 21 years to 18 years for the Lok Sabha and Assembly elections. 65th Amendment Act 1990 provision for the establishment of the National Commission for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes in the place of a special officer or SCs and STs. 73rd Amendment Act 1992. Panchayati Raj institutions were included under the 11th schedule that enumerated the powers and the functions of the Panchayati Raj institutions. Provisions for a three-tier model of the Panchayati Raj, reservation of seats for the STs and STs in the proportion to the population, and one-third reservation of the seats for the women were granted. 74th Amendment Act 1992. This act granted constitutional status and protection to the urban local bodies. For this purpose, the amendment has added a new part 9A entitled the municipalities. A new 12th schedule was added. 77th Amendment Act 1995. This act provided for the reservation in the promotions in the government jobs for SCs and STs. 85th Amendment Act 2001 provided provision for the constitutional seniority in the case of the promotion by virtue of the rule of reservation for the government servants belonging to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. 86th Amendment Act 2002. Elementary education was made a fundamental right. The newly added Article 21A declares that the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age of 6 and 14 years in such a manner as the state may determine. Addition of a new fundamental duty under Article 51A, which reads, it shall be the duty of every citizen of India who is parent or a guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child or ward between the age of 16 and 14 years. 93rd Amendment Act 2005. Reservation for the socially and educationally backward classes in private unaided educational institutions except for the minority educational institutions. 97th Amendment Act 2012. This act gave constitutional status and protection to cooperative societies. 99th Amendment Act 2014. Replacement of the collegium system of appointing judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts with a new judicial body called National Judicial Appointment Commission. 101st Amendment Act 2016. Introduction to Goods and Service Tax. 103rd Amendment Act 2019 empowered the state to make any special provision for the advancement of any economically weaker sections of the citizens. The state was permitted to set aside up to 10% of seats for them. 104th Amendment Act 2020 removal of the reserved seats for the Anglo-Indian community in the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies.